Good morning, sunshine. Welcome to Morning Inspiration with Friends with our host, Miss Inspiration. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe as you sit back and listen. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Aren't y'all happy? I'm right here at 7:05. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. Hope everyone is having an amazing morning so far. Or whenever you're watching this, please keep in mind we do this every Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. ish. So it'll be 7 o'clock, 7:05, or 7:15. But I do normally post a video so that you would know that I'm coming and at what time I'll be there. But yeah, we do this every morning, just dropping a little bit of inspiration. And today's message was inspired by something that happened 3 years ago yesterday. So many of you have probably heard 2016, 2017, I went through like my financial struggles. One of those struggles was I could not afford car insurance, right? New York City car insurance is insane. And I did not live in one of those areas where it was like a train right next door, a block or two away. It was some ways to get to the train. And then like the places that I like to go, supermarkets, were in areas that were what we call two zone bus areas. So I would have to take 2 to 3 buses to get to the places. So that's the reason why I drove, and I have parking. So that was my main reason. Don't let people tell you that, oh, New York, you don't need a car. Depending on where you live, you may need a car. Depending on your lifestyle, you may need a car, right? I didn't go to the city often, Manhattan, but everywhere else I needed to go, having a car made it a lot easier for you to get there. So I like to put that disclaimer out there because I know my people will be like, oh my gosh, you were in New York, you didn't need a car. But so yeah, I couldn't drive. Well, yeah, I couldn't drive. And then when I got my car back on the road, I think it was 2019 or 2018. One of the two. When I got my car back on the road, this fear came over me. Like, I no longer felt comfortable driving on the highway. Now, for anyone else who doesn't know, since 2015, I've been having this desire to leave New York. And I just realized, like what am I going to do if I am afraid to be on the highway now? It was just like this huge fear. I have figured out every way to get through New York City without getting on anyone's highway. Like there's a way to do that. It's the longer way, but there's a way to do it. Staten Island was the only one that I would have to. I mean, and it wasn't a highway; it was like more so the bridge. So I knew how to get to like the last exit and just get on the bridge and get over, and then get back off so that I'm not on the highway. So it was just weird, but it was keeping me in bondage. It was keeping me stuck in New York. And in 2022, I started working with my therapist, and that came up, and it came up quite often. And then she finally was like, "So what are you going to do? Because if you continue with this fear, you're never going to leave New York. And if you never leave New York, you're going to continue to be miserable. You continue to be like." She was just showing me like this is going to be a pattern. This is going to have an effect on you in the long term. What are you going to do? And so I want people to understand that like we have to realize that fear sometimes comes when the breakthrough was just restored, right? Here I had restoration. Here my finances was coming back together. I'm actually able to pay and afford car insurance again. My car is back on the road. And I'm limited to just the 5 boroughs in New York City. Maybe I can get to Long Island because Long Island is similar to New York. ways, there are roads that I felt comfortable that are not really classified as a highway, but it connected Queens to Long Island. So there were places in Long Island I was able to get to. I did feel comfortable enough in the daytime to go to northern New Jersey, where my sister's best friend, got rest her soul, that's where her family lives. So I probably started to do small things like that. But I didn't want to live in Long Island. I didn't want to live in northern New Jersey, which is nothing wrong with it. Um, I just knew I needed to figure this out. And so, I love traveling. And I had said to myself that, I would love to just experience, living on the beach, ocean front, being able to smell the ocean, hear the ocean, um, listen and see the sunrise or the sunset, depending on which direction the oceanfront place is at. And I ended up picking Myrtle Beach because I don't think I've ever been to Myrtle Beach. My mother can't confirm if we ever did like a road trip down there, or I know we didn't take the train there. So I was like, Myrtle Beach is far enough, but not too far that I can drive. And I got a really good deal for staying on an oceanfront condo for a month. Yes, I went to Myrtle Beach for a month, but it was getting there. And I remember because I work remote, so that's why I was able to do it. And I remember telling one of my homeboys at the time, like, "Yo, I'm kind of afraid to make this drive." And he was like, "Oh, I'll drive you. I'll drive and then I will come back by plane." And I was like, "All right, bet." And my therapist, I remember telling her this story and she just looked at me. She made a face. And I was just like, I ignored the face and I was just like, whatever. And then later on, she was like, "So what is this about him driving you there?" She was like, "How is that going to help you to break this fear?" She was like, "The fear cannot be broken if you're letting someone else into the driver's seat." She's a little fresh too. I didn't mention that, but I love my therapist. And so I just was like, you know what? And then like something happened and he couldn't take me anyway. So it was just like, okay, God just removed the driver and was like, you are either gonna do this or you're not gonna do this. And I remember just packing up my car and I just did it. I was like, I have to do this. I have to get out of this. I have to break this fear. I have to get on these highways and get on the I-5 and drive down because I don't want to be here, right? Me going away for a month was a strong tell that I really don't want to be here. And so it really wasn't that the highway was giving me all this fear. It was about me moving forward, right? If the devil knows that you have something that's like truly, truly like paralyzing you in fear, it's like, oh, I got her, right? So remember what I said. If I stayed in New York, I'm gonna continue to get this feeling of unhappiness, uneasiness. I wasn't feeling settled. Like it was just a really hard feeling for me, and so I realized like this is gonna keep me here because almost everywhere else you need a car to just do basic things. Going to the grocery store, you need a car in Tulsa. Now, can people maneuver on the bus? Absolutely. Do I have enough patience for that? I don't. Right. So it's like, no, you got to get out there. And look at how ironic it was. I did this in October of 2022. When did I leave? 11 months later. Because I broke that fear, I kicked that fear down when I drove down to Myrtle Beach by myself in my car and I just hit the road. And I'm in there, and I'm on the I-95, which is like one of the craziest highways that we all have heard stories about the I-95. So I'm on the I-95 and I'm breaking this fear. I'm kicking the devil in the face like, haha, you're not going to keep me stuck. And I'm thanking God for just giving me the courage to to face this and face this head on, not having someone else do it, not having someone else start it, and then I take over at a certain point. I started from point A to point B, all the way back to point A. technically I went to point A to point B, point C, and then back to A because I stopped in Charlotte. Because I knew it was gonna be a long drive, and that's the only thing. And I take my time. Like I know I'm not a huge highway. Even now, I'm not a huge highway driver. And when people say to me, "Oh, it's gonna take like 2 hours," in my mind, I already know it's gonna take about 3 hours. I need about two more stops than most people. Right? I'm just getting to the point where I can drive from Tulsa to OKC without stopping. Not unless I have to use the bathroom really bad. Right? Other than that, it was just like, but it was just so amazing because I'm like, so often we don't realize how one breakthrough is connected to the next breakthrough. And if you don't take that first step, you're never gonna get to the breakthrough that you need. I would have never met Jelly Bean. I would have never known about a toaster remote. Or I would have heard about toaster remote and I would have rolled my eyes and been like, right? And that would have just been projection of like, yeah, who wants to live in Tulsa? Like, who wants to do that? Would have been projection because of my fear. Yes, I would have to say things like that because that would have to make sense. Because Tanisha's not going there because it's gonna consist me to be on the highway. I have to drive there. Like, oh no. So sometimes people don't realize we start projecting, we start making these little side comments about things, and it's really tied to your fears. It's not even because this is something that you truly believe. So I'm thankful. And I want to encourage you if there's anything that you need to face, you don't know what's coming next after that once you face it. Once you break through, it becomes a ripple effect of because of the one breakthrough. It becomes the ripple effect. It's like one door opens and then the next door opens and then the next door opens. We just got to say yes and we got to actually take action in faith. You have to say yes and you have to take action in faith. You have to say yes and you have to take action in faith. That breakthrough, that one thing that you are like, I can't do this. Oh no, right? It's going to open up something bigger and greater. God just got to see, can I trust her to just listen to me? Because I had to listen to him. Right? These desires to go to other places, these are not just desires that I came up with. I am by natural, by nature. You can ask my sister's probably one of the best people, my mom too. Naturally, I ain't one of the scariest people out here. I get scared about everything. Something I'm like, but when I started to have faith and walking with God and building that relationship, that's when that fear started to like, slowly. I would still do it, but I still might be afraid, but I still trust God. So that's the reason why. But I want people to understand like that the drive didn't heal me, right? The drive didn't necessarily heal me. It was just preparation. It was preparation. It was like God knew you are about to go to a new place, to a new region. And everyone was like, oh, you're moving to Myrtle Beach? No. And I knew it wasn't Myrtle Beach. I knew that. I knew that. I knew I was not going to, Myrtle Beach was not going to be my home. I just knew that, God gave me the perfect opportunity in October to go by the water. I literally got there the week after a hurricane and I left the week before. We had 4 weeks of pretty much almost perfect weather. Now it wasn't super hot, but in the daytime, noontime, when the sun is at the high point, I was able to get out and go to the beach and walk in the water, and sunbathe. I remember doing all of that, and then they had an indoor pool, so it made it 10 times better. But I knew that wasn't a new location. It was just that drive and that trip that was preparing me for my relocation. It was preparing me for my new purpose. It was preparing me for my new peace, right? Everything that I've been talking about. And although it didn't happen immediately, it didn't happen instantly, other things had to happen. I had to handle some business within family, within my mom, and making sure that she was okay. God understood, like he was just preparing things and putting things into order, into position, so that when this opportunity came, It was an easier yes for me to make versus the fearful Tanisha, because I tried everything not to drive to Oklahoma. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I tried everything. I was gonna pay to have my car shipped. The prices went from $700 to, by the time we were about to book, it went up to $1,300. That didn't make sense. In addition to having to take a plane to meet my stuff here, that didn't make sense. And I remember having this conversation with my mom because she was so afraid, like, oh my gosh, I don't want you to be on the road. And, we thinking about sundown towns, because these are true, real fears. These are fears. These are realities. We are living still in a country that there are still sundown towns. And guess what? They are all not in the South. There are some in the North. They're just not talked about often, right? So you have to. So there was like legit, honest reasons to have some concern, right? I did forfeit, like doing a U-Haul. I forfeited that. I was like, God, we're gonna take whatever we can fit in this car, and we're gonna just go. I'll buy everything else, right? I still left a lot of things in New York. Um, and I was just like, it's just this, instead of me going to Murder Beach, this is me going out west, and God took me and He carried me through, right? That obedience was going to help me to overcome that fear and prepare me for the life that was waiting for me in Oklahoma. Sometimes you're just not going to understand. It's not going to make sense. I promise you it's not. But if you hear me often, you hear me say, God doesn't make sense. Other people were looking at me like, I was hearing all kind of crazy stuff when I did this trip 3 years ago. And it was just like, it was just fascinating, the way that people are so close-minded. And it's just like, I'm glad that I ignored the noise, right? Because it's so easy to get caught up in people's opinions and ideas of what your life is supposed to be like and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to do it. It's very easy to get caught up in that. And I'm thankful that I did not get caught up in that, because I was just like, I can't do, right? And so when I ignored that, and I'm thinking back to when I was taking that drive, it was just like, I just felt free. I felt lighter, because it was just like the more miles that I was going, it was just peeling away from my body. Like, all right, girl, we got this. You got this. You got this. And so I'm truly, truly thankful. But I'm hoping that this opens up someone's eyes and their mind to something that you are praying for. And there are things that are blocking you to get to that thing. I want you to face them. I want you to face them, because the life that you truly desire is waiting for you. But it's not going to show up until you face those fears. My life here would not had existed had I not faced that fear in 2022. And like I said, isn't it ironic that 11 months later, I was on the road heading to Oklahoma by myself for the first time ever. I never been out west in that capacity. I drove through states I never stepped foot in. I've never been in Indiana. I had never been in Missouri. And then I never been in Oklahoma or Ohio, because I went through the I-80. So New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I've been those places. Pennsylvania, I've been to Philadelphia. And I think in college we went to Pittsburgh for something, or high school. Somebody took us to Pittsburgh for something. But I never realized just how wide. Like you see Pennsylvania on the map is wide, but when you start driving through, it's just be like, oh wow, I didn't realize how, and it's so pretty. It's such a pretty state, like the nature wise, it's such a pretty state. But yeah, I've never been through Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, and Oklahoma. When I drove through, when I entered, that was the first time that I ever drove through any of those states. And I'm actually looking forward to doing it again because it was such a refreshing drive. Um, of course I had to stop. I stopped at Indiana because I'm not a 24-hour driver. I'm not a driver at night. I don't do well driving at night. So I knew to stop my behind, go get me a room. Um, and then I did that. And then I got back up and I did it again for the next morning. Right. So you just gotta you just have to know yourself. Know yourself, know what you need. Um, but know what's blocking you from the life that you want. Once you know that, now you have a conversation with God and say, okay, God, these are the things that are blocking me. These are the things that are stopping me. Help me. And I promise you, as long as you're willing to say yes, as long as you are willing to take steps and action and faith, you will get to that destination. You will get to that life. It's going to make sense one day. But you got to say yes to that first step. And that's it. So I am your girl, Tanisha Shanae, Miss Inspiration. As always, if you want to get in contact with me, you can head over to my link tree. My link tree is going to have my books, my courses, my blogs. It is linktree/Tanisha Shanae. And we are here every Monday through Friday with a message. Now, tomorrow is Thursday, so tomorrow will be a throwback Thursday. One of my messages from previous, whether it has been on Morning Inspiration with Friends or something that I did prior, I have been doing lives and different inspirational messages over the years since 2015. So you just really never know what's going to end up being on Throwback Thursday. I do try to put something up that's a little bit at least 9 minutes long because some messages used to be hit. It would just hit to the point, and it would be like 8 to 7 minutes sometimes. So I'm gonna find one. But tomorrow is a Throwback Thursday, and then I am back here live on Friday. So if you are willing, you can definitely join me on Friday. And we can have more conversation. So I am your girl. Thank you so much for being here. And if you have not hit that like and subscribe button and hit that notification so you would know exactly when I'm about to go live. But it's always within the 7 a.m. Central time. I'm in Central, right? You might be in Eastern, so 8 o'clock. So you can listen to me on your way to work. You can listen to me when you're on your way back and you are listening to the replay. And just make sure that you drop down #replay so I know that you was here at least with us in spirit. All right. So have a great one. Have a great day. Be well. Be blessed. And I love you all.